Hello, Lady Mogul community. Welcome to another edition of Lady Mogul Talk. And today we have Tiara Swain. I am excited to get into her bio because we always have impressive people, but there was one thing that stood out to me today, and I can't wait for us to dig into this a little bit deeper. So Tiara is a career and business consultant who helps professionals and startups build a competitive online presence by building a tailored networking and branding strategies before launching her consulting firm in August of 2020. So you're about to come up on an anniversary. Congratulations. Tiara had 6 years of experience increasing revenue, reducing expenses, and developing brand strategies for Fortune 500 companies, including, get this, Enterprise Holdings, PepsiCo, Kelly Services, and LinkedIn. So we're going to definitely dig into your experiences there. Personally, Tiara is an active member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated and leads finance workshops at her church, Fellowship Chicago. And in her spare time, she enjoys skydiving. We'll have to talk about that too. Cooking and listening to jazz music. So welcome. We are so happy to have you here today.
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Yes, glad to have you. Now, you have an extensive background. What did I not cover? I always like to ask because we are so much more than our resume. So what did I not cover?
Well, for sure. So actually, this past January, because I currently still work at LinkedIn, and I earned the Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity Belonging Award. So that's what I guess what you missed. So I'm excited to share that.
And you know what? Let's start there because I was going to ask that question. That is quite an accomplishment. So it's the Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Award. Tell us what it was like to receive this award. And obviously we get by the title a little bit about it, but tell us the background behind this.
Yeah, I will. So currently I also help to co-lead the Black Inclusion Group, which is the ERG for LinkedIn, and I serve in the community partnerships lead. So I always have a passion of just impacting the community, and that's what I did in Chicago. So I'm partnering up with middle schools, high schoolers, but I'm also connected with other tech companies, just pushing for diversity. And my manager, he said, "When do you go to sleep?" And I was like, "I don't at all." But he was actually like the main person that actually recommended me for that award, and I was just really surprised because I don't do it just to get the accolade. I'm just doing it literally because I care about the impact. I don't care if anyone really knows who I am. I'm just wanting to let you guys know that hey, I have a passion to make a difference.
So. And that's so good that she said that because it's not for, as you said, the clout or for just being recognized. It's because you have a passion for it. So not saying you do it for the reward, but if you just stay in your purpose, the rewards will come whether it's visible or not visible. So I think that's so important for us to highlight. You never know who's watching.
That is so true. And I'm so happy that you even mentioned the word purpose. I think that word has evolved so much for me. And I know, and this is also what I'm going to be sharing in the book, in the Loveliness Project. I'm going to be sharing about hey, I recognize my purpose is to love God and love his people. And I'm going to edify his name through the work that I'm doing, whether I could be working or whether I'm just doing it through my consulting, because I just want to make sure that hey, everything's coming from a positive place. Because I know, listen, we live in a world where not everyone has those, I guess, positive intentions. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. Now, obviously, you're successful in everything that you do. And you started your firm, Swain Solutions. And I just want to know, what was your motivation? You've worked in corporate. You've been successful. But why did you decide to branch off on your own and create your own firm?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I will say the first time I launched this back in 2019 was a flop. When I used to live in Atlanta, it was just, I don't know, and I really think it was because it wasn't on God's timing. But really, the real motivators was that actually I wanted to honor my grandparents. So unfortunately, this past year, I lost 6 family members in 9 months. And I know that my grandma and my papa, they were entrepreneurs. They were one of the first entrepreneurs in my family. My grandma, Ina Swain. Ina was an accountant, and my papa, William Swain, he actually had his own printing shop. And what's really great is actually now, the city, they're actually going to turn this into I think a memorial. It's something like that. But at least it just, because they did a lot of work in the community too. But that was honestly why, because I'm man, I wish that they were alive to see this, because when I was younger, I used to always talk about, Grandma and Papa, I don't know what I'm going to do one day. I'm going to do something. But my grandparents, they were basically the main motivators of this. And I know they can't see it now in person, but I hope they are just, I wish that they could just see what's going on, because this is just the beginning, I know, for my career. So, yeah.
And I'm sure they are looking down on the amazing accomplishments, and they live in your heart. So I know they are so proud of you, and what a great legacy to continue for your family and then future generations to come. Who knows? It's so amazing.
So much.
Yes. And speaking of challenges, because I was going to highlight that too, I'm glad you said that it was a flop. I mean, I have had so many flops myself.
Yes.
Tell us, how did you stay persistent with the challenges and the obstacles that might have come in your way?
Listen, when I tell you, like, my life is a full testimony, like, I honestly, it's like I literally had to make sure I had like a strong core of God, because it's like I know what it's like, and I mentioned this in the book too. I applied to 500 jobs in 1 month. That's just literally how over I was. And so, like, when I talk about my obstacles, I'm like, okay, I literally got to start like thinking out, like, meaning like, oh, like this is just honestly temporary. And that's what I mentioned in the book too. Like, we go through our hardships. It's just yeah, we might be going through some bad days and stuff like that. But hey. Right. Like having peace, having happiness, those are what's really like long term, which I believe is very important. So yeah.
Yes, I agree. And since we alluded to the book a little bit, let's transition there. And thank you to Dr. Ashley Little of Little Publishing, Ashley Little Enterprises, for bringing us together, because there is an amazing collaboration that is going on. And I want to make sure I get this right. It's called The Loveliness Project, A Path to My Purpose, led by visionary authors, founders Tatiana Dorsey and Takia Gray. So tell us, what was it like to work with so many other amazing women? Tell us about the Loveliness Project and this upcoming book.
Listen, I cannot wait. So this is the first time I'm actually writing like really openly about my life. So this is way out of my comfort zone. And I remember when I first read that first draft, I'm like, whoa, it's a lot going on. I'm about to really learn about me.
I'm putting myself out there.
And I also really felt like it was therapy. So basically, like, the Loveliness Project, this is honestly a composition of all of like women that we're like all entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. But we're all really like, we're able to use this platform to really share our own stories. And I love like with the Loveliness Project, we have a tagline where it says that like, hey, our stories are your stories. And so like the comment is like, yeah, like tragedy, love, happiness, anger, like all of this. And it's like, wow, we all come from different walks of life. So it's really humbling to really go through this. And it was therapy, because I'm like, wow, like I have gone through a lot. I'm honestly like, I grew up with a single father back in Philly. So I don't know about that. I had to like dual parent, like home until like my father actually got remarried, which I love. Like my step too, like they're amazing. But growing up, it's like my biological mom. She has schizophrenia. She's homeless. So it's like, yeah, there's definitely a lot of pillars to my story. Yeah.
And I think it is so important for us to just highlight those stories, because you never know who's going through some of the same things, of similar stories. And I don't know about you, but I found when I started sharing my personal stories of challenges, there were so many people who were high too. They were like, I didn't know that you could still overcome this whatever challenge and be successful, or that there was light at the end of the tunnel. So have you found that in your journey as well?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. And now it's crazy. We're literally. Are you sure you didn't read my chapter? Because I actually told you that.
Not yet.
Basically, so an event that. Sorry, my puppy's in the background. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. That's Waffles. So yeah, like what I actually mentioned like throughout this story is like, wow, like. Basically, like God created a situation where I went through a really traumatic event when I was younger at 16, and I'm like, wow, I'm actually able to like minister to someone that was younger that went through the same thing. So it literally was full circle, because I'm like, why do I have to go through this? I don't have to learn my lesson. I remember when I was younger, I remember I had this conversation with my dad. I was like, Daddy, like God doesn't need to humble me. I learn from other people's mistakes. I don't need to learn. I don't need to. My dad said God's gonna humble you with or without you knowing. So yes. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
and that's cool. Go ahead.
Oh no! I was gonna say, but yeah, it was definitely full circle.
Mm-hmm. And it's that what you said just brought a memory of someone who said this certain statement, and I'm probably gonna butcher it, but I hope everyone gets the concept. When traumatic things happen to us, it's not really happening to us, so to speak,
Right.
but it's happening for a purpose for us to maybe help someone along the way. And the way she said, I mean, like I said, she said it more eloquently than I did. But
I love that, though. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, you think that it's at that moment, it's just like so traumatic and heart wrenching, and that you'll never get through it. But you just never know who your story will touch later on. For someone, you will get through it. You're strong enough to get through it, but maybe someone else wasn't, and they needed to know that you were able to make it through.
No, that is 100%. Like, you literally hit the nail on the coffin. It's like what they always say. Yeah, I get it. And I also know that you also can't put a price on peace.
Right. Ooh.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, I feel like we're having church right now. But anyway.
All right, listen, it's church wherever we go. Okay, so yeah.
Now, I want to make sure that I highlight that the book launches early summer 2021, and I'm excited to see where that see the release date, and I think it's going to be on Amazon and exclusively on the Loveliness Network website. Oh, and then a portion of the proceeds are going to impact the Ladybug Society. And I don't know if the Lady Mogul community remembers, we had Tatiana Dorsey on a few months ago. Wow, time flies. And so it's just a great cause all around, women sharing their stories and giving back to youth. I think that's just so amazing.
And if you think about this too, like we literally are like sharing like our stories really for this next generation. It's like, so I hope that they will like take the time to learn and let them know like, hey, like you're powerful being like a woman who you are. It's like, even like with all of like my roles where I worked at Fortune 500 companies, I was typically the only woman, honestly, the only woman in general, and then let alone the only woman of color. So there's always just uncertainties, but it's like, like I love seeing other women that are in like higher like levels. I actually connected with a woman from Facebook today. She has like a high D&I level, and I'm like, I want you to be my mentor, like openly. Yes, absolutely. Because I know that it's always learning. It's always learning. And I'm always learning. Like, honestly, Miss Simone, my ultimate goal is I want to win a Nobel Peace Prize for all the work that I'm doing to help, because it's like I want to help to push how people are looking at LinkedIn differently. Like I want like our own community to be on it too. It's like every day that someone, I guess, is unaware, it like literally pushes them back like 20 steps. Like literally, it's like, so it's just so important that we really educate our community and keep doing it. Yes.
And I believe you can, because I remember everyone now knows the name of Representative Stacey Abrams, but I remember when she was just hanging at the Capitol coming into, I worked for Governor Deal, but just coming into the office, and she was so down to earth. But now she's been elevated to this platform because of her consistency and her hard work. And wasn't she nominated for?
Yes, she sure was.
So I believe that you can do it too.
That's a blessing, honey. And even if I could be 80 years old, if it doesn't happen, at least I know I've tried. I put all of my full effort. So
yes, definitely. Now, one of the things that stuck out to me in your resume was working for LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is such a powerful tool. We don't sometimes don't use it enough. I know I need to get back in there. What advice would you give for those of us who are still trying to figure out the platform and figure out, I guess, our space on the platform?
I love that question. One, I could give you like 10 reasons why, but I'm going to keep it simple. I would say, like, really think about like what is your ultimate goal on LinkedIn? Is it for you to, I guess, use it from leveraging it from like a business development side, or is it for you to leverage it from just finding a job? And basically, your profile should really dictate clearly like which, like kind of like what your end goal is. And so there are there are so many ways for everyone to stand out on LinkedIn that I know. And honestly, I'm gonna share some tips right now, if you don't mind.
I know this is your show.
Like there are 20 ways on your profile alone for you to stand out, from having like a professional photo, having a strong tagline, from showing all of your relevant skills, collecting those recommendations. These are all ways for really to build up your credibility. It's so important. But then I would say, don't be afraid to be yourself. Like we're in a world where actually LinkedIn is actually kind of around with like how Facebook was back in 2012, where people are sharing like their personal stories or common interests. I remember I posted a picture of my puppy Waffles on there. It was so cute. I wasn't expecting, like I had people that were in my DMs that were sharing like other pictures of their puppies. I was like, this is so cool. And then also with like Clubhouse has also been a really big platform, and I'm able to use that to bring more people to LinkedIn. So it's so powerful.
Well, first of all, I need to make sure I follow you on Clubhouse, but you just dropped the game about LinkedIn strategies. Even though I've been a little bit active and here and there, but because I remember like revamping my profile, I'm still getting people and leads coming to my messages. So it's important. I mean, especially if you're like B2B, that is just the place to go. So imagine if I get active again, what's going to happen?
Listen, you can definitely book time on my calendar, and I will continue, because what I'm doing, even like during my consultant sessions, I'm literally sharing secrets. Literally, these are like secrets some of my coworkers don't even know exist. So yeah. Yeah,
well, we just need you as a guest speaker one day, so I'm just going to put that out
there. I'm excited. Yes, thank you.
Yes, and speaking of being on the corporate side of things, managing some Fortune 500 companies, oh my goodness. I mean, the pressure, I can only imagine. So how do you remain calm, cool, and collected and get things done?
Well, I'm happy you say that. So, okay, so remember how I mentioned like the importance of like having that foundation? It's also important for like what you said, like to honestly like for me to just really channel it in different ways as well. So like sometimes I'll go skydiving. I'm like a very adventurous person. I would love to go some parks this year too. That's my goal. But I'm also, but now I've done like I do like yoga now as well. I do this like online, so it's really cool to stay there. I also go for walks. I'm also a cook. I'm also part Jamaican, so I'm always cooking some right, like all the time. So yeah, it's always important, and especially because I have so many things going on. Because I'm not just like, yeah, it's a lot. I actually started like counting my tag. Like I actually like about like 10 things right now going on at the same time. So yeah, definitely like to just like get that to find ways to alleviate that stress. I can't. So yeah.
It is so essential because if you run out of, I always compare it to a car because a car can't run on an empty tank. Either for you, it is important to replenish yourself in whatever way that looks like for you. And I think every person I've brought on has highlighted that in some way. And I think some of us have learned it the hard way. So I hope for those who have not learned it the hard way yet that you take this advice.
Yes, and then I would also say too, like don't be afraid to even like if you have to go to therapy too. I think like as well, like I just think that of course like now I'm starting to see like it's worth like talked about in our community, which I love. I saw especially because like from like my mom's side of the family, we have a history of mental just like of illness. So it's really important to just invest in yourself.
Catch it early. If possible.
Exactly.
Yes, I love it. I love this conversation. Now, I want to make sure that we highlight everything that you do. So here's your moment to plug in your business and anything else you would like to highlight, and we'll make sure that we communicate where we can keep up with you. So Instagram, everything.
Yes. Okay. Well, first I would say please connect with me on LinkedIn. You can follow me at Tiara Swain MBA. It says I'm located in Chicago. Yes, you're going to see that. You're going to see me very happy. But my tagline literally says the ultimate connector, because that's one of my goals. I want to have connections, and I already do at this moment in all industries. But I know 5 years from now, it's going to be probably times 5. Like absolutely. So I know so even like right now, right, on LinkedIn, I have like 4,800 first degree connections, but I have over 400 million mutual connections on the platform. So that's like something
high now.
Like network is network. Exactly. And so let me go back to plug it in. I'm sorry. I'm all about sharing tips. Okay.
No, that was amazing. I'm like, goodness, I am put to shame. I need to step it up.
Exactly. And it's like, so like for my Instagram is Swain Solutions _. My website is Solutions by Swain. So like you guys can follow. You can also follow me on Clubhouse, which is also Swain Solutions. So yeah, I want to make sure that forever, like anyone that has an experience. I'm sorry, anyone that has an experience with me, basically me becoming your consultant. I'm always going to make it positive. I'm going to make it fun, but I'm going to get real with you too. You have to be very transparent. It's like, hey, I'm going to tell you if you need to maybe like work on yourself. You may have to like go back to class, like go back to school or whatever. Or hey, you may have to like watch some YouTube videos, like whatever. I'm all about always like literally like working on yourself. Always, because there's always room for improvement. So yeah, I know I gave a lot, but honestly, you all can find me on Swain Solutions. That's how you can find me. So,
what you said was absolutely perfect and needed, especially about saying that you don't sugarcoat anything, because some people do need that tough love, and and maybe the reason why people have been burned out by previous consultants and coaches is because no one called them out on that, and so they really didn't get what they needed. So I think that is so important to highlight.
Like in my current role, I manage 140 staffing firms at LinkedIn. You better believe I'm telling them, we need to have some canned conversations. Yeah, so it's like exactly, because it's like it's just interesting how my brain works. I just see it's like I kind of see it before they did. When I worked at Pepsi, I would have to basically like sometimes like fix planograms, but again, it's like I would just see how the set should look before I would even. I don't know. Again, it's just so crazy how my brain. It's like how like Pharrell kind of described it. I'm like, yeah, that's how my brain is too. He just sees it beforehand. So yeah.
Well, you need to pick her brain, but a paid invoice, y'all, not free. Pick her brain. It's an invoice attached to that. So, to close out this session, because this has been such an amazing session with you, a segment, what final words would you like to share with our audience?
Yeah, well, I would say, well, one, please go ahead and support the Loveliness Project. This is something that's really going to change and impact so many women, and not just women, so many people in general. And I would say, don't ever forget to like literally be your own like number one fan. Like at the end of it, like listen, everyone's going to have some hard days, so it's important for you guys to have like that like number one like foundation to your core. And I don't care whether it could be like watching church, just praying, doesn't matter, reading, whatever. Make sure that you really have, because we just know, like, as I mentioned before, like I applied to 500 jobs. I was literally over it. I was just completely over it. It's like, no, but I had to literally break it back. So I would say for you, specifically like for like people that do believe in God, I would say, don't forget to start literally like changing your prayer. Start really praying for what you want and start praying where God needs to place you at. Because I literally learned my whole purpose is right in front of me. Like I had a resume at 10 years old. I had like a lot of internships, but I didn't realize. I'm like, wait a minute, this is all in front of me. I could have been doing this back in college, but everything came full circle on God's timing. So yeah, I would just say like, invest in yourself.
Yes. And let me circle back. Let me rewind this just a little bit. She said she applied for 500 jobs. Now, if that's not dedication, I don't know what is. All it takes is one yes.
Exactly. And then what it also shows you too is like, hey, like even as a career coach, like I know like the pain of it going through that interview. When I worked at PepsiCo, I applied for 10 roles and I was overlooked each time. And I'm like, okay, so if it wasn't for I guess like it was really kind of boiled down to, okay, like because I always hit my numbers, I had great reviews, but disconnect. I went to find a guy, I'm like, okay, so there's some complacency in my role. Okay. And then I'm finding out, wow, like I'm getting mixed reviews from like HR and my manager. It's like I'm literally learning best practices. So when I tell my clients, don't make my mistakes, please don't do this, don't do this. And I would say too, if you're not happy, bounce. Like literally like leave. Because the worst thing you can do is waste your time because you can't get that back.
Wow, that is just really, goodness. I'm just so excited about this last part because that in itself was just like a lot. Every no or every step is like a stepping stone to the next thing.
Because I'm in sales, I know every 40th no is a yes. That's what the average is. And also too, it's like even like when we're like thinking about in terms of like resumes. Resumes aren't that complicated. It's honestly a words game. The more relevant keywords you have, the more it's going to stand out. With your LinkedIn, literally, I tell my own clients. I recommend for my clients have that same thing. The more relevant keywords, like literally, it's not that hard. It's like I'm also teaching my clients skills, so they actually come back to me. I'm teaching them so that way when they're ready for their next role, they can literally do it on their own. So yes, and I also think what also makes me a little bit different is I'm not going to take advantage of anyone, like meaning when it comes to price. So yeah, like I could definitely overcharge, but I'm not doing that because this information should honestly everyone should be able to afford and have access to it. So yeah, I'm definitely ruffling some feathers and I don't care. Oh well.
And it'll come back to you tenfold because of your commitment to help others. So I'm just so happy to know you. Even though I've not met you in person, just
I know
virtually. I'm just so wonderful.
And this is what's crazy too, because LinkedIn doesn't know. I've been like professionally sliding into the DMs of like a lot of companies pushing for D&I. I'm not getting paid for this. I don't even care, but it's just like, yo, like this is not okay. This is not okay. I don't care if like it's like if you think about this too, we're coming from like the same realm where being a woman was kind of this like it basically kind of checked off their diversity. right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're literally now we're like entering conversations for like people that, of course, like a different ethnicity, but maybe they might have like also like have like different learning styles. You know, all inclusive. I don't like they could be in a wheelchair, they could be in a color blue. I don't care. I don't care. You all deserve a seat at this table. That's what my like. What kind of like at the end of the day. So yes.
Well, thank you so much, Tiara Swain,
Yes.
for everything that you have dropped and blessed us with during this segment of Lady Mogul Talk. And I hope that we will stay connected. I'm seeing opportunities already, and I just can't wait to see what's next for you.
Thank you so much. You are amazing, and I cannot wait to further support you. I cannot wait, Miss Simone. So thank you.
I'm corny, excuse me. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in for another segment of Lady Mogul Talk, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.